There's just no doubt in my mind that we're going to cause some ruckus in that top three.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with 11 weeks out physique update from the beast Akim Williams. So the first thing that you notice is those peaky biceps, and we have to keep in mind he also has that bicep split, and the man has those deep fibers, and for 11 weeks out the man looks to be in a superb condition. And the reason I talked about the biceps is because we saw recently Jay Cutler talked about this, that bodybuilders nowadays do not have that muscle quality that they used to have back in the days. So the awesome thing about Akim is that he has gotten so bigger over the years, but at the same time he kept his waistline, his midsection, his symmetry intact. So if you have been following Akim Williams since he came onto the scene, you must know he was one of the strongest IFBB pros, and the man used to push crazy amount of weights. But he has changed his training style a lot in the past few years, and it has all gone in his favor. So the first thing is that he has less chances of getting injured now. Plus, his physique started to get better in those past few years, especially in terms of conditioning. So Akim was top 10 last year at the Olympia, and he was improved in the post-Olympia shows, especially in Romania and the Big Man weekend. Especially his conditioning at both these shows, that was top notch, that was superb. But the back is hindering him from moving up on that Olympia stage in terms of his placings. And we know this year the top 10, that is gonna be so much more competitive than last year. Because this year we have so many guys coming back. And second of all, we have some new talent coming in, like Rubiel Mosquera and Akim versus Nexilla. That is going to be a very interesting matchup. So Akim is gonna get Rubiel in terms of bare conditioning, bare detail, and bare separation. But Rubiel is gonna be one of the freakiest guy in this year's Olympia lineup. So the performance of Akim Williams under Chris Aceto, that has been amazing so far. He has been one of the most consistent guys when it comes to peaking, when previously it was the other way around. It was always a hit and miss in case of Akim. Now in order for him to move up from top 10 at this upcoming Mr. Olympia, he's gonna have to be 100%, both at the prejudging as well as at the finals. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am.
There's just no doubt in my mind that we're going to cause some ruckus in that top three. You know, I know where I'm going to be, but you never know, right? So
next up, we have an 11 weeks out physique update from the mutant Nick Walker. And those updates came along with that statement that is 100% shaken up the Olympia top 3 come October. And based on how the man is looking right now, you have to believe him. And just because Martin Fitzwater and his 11 weeks out physique update also came out, let's put them side by side to see how they compare. So next picture is taken in his basement with zero pump and no food, while Martin's pictures were taken in Steve Weinberger's gym, most probably after a workout. And this is also one of the strongest shots for the mutant. Now I'm pretty sure that the mutant isn't even thinking about Martin as any sort of threat to him for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. And all the experts who have been commentating in regards to this year's Mr. Olympia, they have only been mentioning the mutant as a potential threat to the guys at the top who have been placing in that top 3, namely Derek, Samson and Hadi Chopin. So Martin isn't in the discussion. In fact, it will be surprising if Martin is able to place top 4, the same as last year, simply because he has to beat one of the 3 Mr. Olympia champions, or he has to beat the mutant. And the fact is, most of us are assuming that Nick is gonna be at the very least in that top 4. So Nick Walker looking this round and big, on empty stomach, and improving with every passing week. That is solidifying his confidence. And the man has every single reason to believe that he's gonna end up in that elite group once again, come October this year. So Tampa Pro just keeps getting interesting, as John Jewett also just announced that he's also in for Tampa Pro as well as Texas Pro. So previously he was only aiming for Texas Pro, which was quite surprising because this is a kind of athlete who is ready weeks out of the show. And just because both these shows are just 1 week apart, I do think that everybody should take this opportunity to jump into Tampa Pro 2 and get the feedback from the judges, and then go into Texas Pro a week later as a better bodybuilder. So do you guys know what that means? We are gonna see 5 former Olympians competing in this year's Tampa Pro, and this is turning out to be one of the most exciting shows of this entire year because it is also very unpredictable. So when you look at John's strength, he is most probably gonna be the most shredded and the most conditioned guy in this year's Tampa Pro lineup. So the record suggests that it is very difficult to outcondition John Jewett. Plus, if we also take into consideration the long off-season that he had post-Olympia last year, the man is 100% gonna be a few pounds heavier, which will make him look like a more complete bodybuilder on the stage. So thankfully John made the decision of switching classes. I mean, he would have never looked this good if he stayed in the 212 with a weight cap hanging over his head. And he has made some crazy overall progress, some insane improvements in the past couple of years after transitioning from the 212 into the men's open class. So this footage of the 2 times former Olympia champion, Big Ramy, from his first pro win, which happened at the New York Pro, and that was back in 2013, that just goes to show us that he looked better in his younger days. He had amazing proportions, crazy V-taper, and his quads weren't overpowering his upper half. So it was a very balanced physique, top to bottom. And this also adds more weight to Lee Haney's recent comments and the statement that chasing size that ruins physique, because looking back at Big Ramy and his career, 2014 was the year his physique absolutely peaked. That was his all-time best. Now Ramy was kind of underappreciated for most part of his pro career because the fans wanted him to come in looking like Phil Heath or bring that same level of conditioning. And the people in Ramy's corner, they maybe thought that the only way for Big Ramy to beat a legend like Phil Heath, that was with more size. But that being said, his legacy has been cemented as a 2 times Olympia champion, and we are all gonna be very thrilled to see him back on the stage one last time. But take a look at the size of his waistline from 2013. Look at the fullness of his arms, and those things are just no longer there. And age is always a very big factor. So Big Ramy beating his idol, Victor Martinez, at 2013 New York Pro, that was a big moment in his career. Definitely one of the best looking physique to have won on his pro debut, especially if we look back in the last 15 years or so. Next up, we have a physique update from Logan Franklin, about 5 weeks out of his next show where he will seek his Olympia qualification for this year. Now Logan represents some of the physiques from the 80s era, and the man is also very confident that one day he will become the new standard for classic physique. Now, not many people agreed with his claim that he's gonna be in the top 3 at the Olympia this year, because we are talking about the best of the best. But how can we forget about his Arnold Ohio look this year? As per Chris Bumstead himself, Logan was the most classic looking man in this year's Arnold Ohio lineup, but he just wasn't competitive against a guy like Mike Sommerfeld, especially from the back. Still, him placing second at the second biggest show of the year, that was a big shocker for many people. And the conditioning that we saw from Logan at the Arnold, that was the conditioning of a lifetime, because a bodybuilding peak that simply cannot get any better than that. Now, I do not think Logan is gonna face any difficulty getting his Olympia qualification if he looks anywhere close to that Arnold Ohio look. In fact, the whole point of taking time off after this year's Arnold, that was to bring up his back, put on some more thickness and density in all the right areas. So he is supposed to show up with a better physique in 5 weeks time. So let me know what you guys think. How high can Logan place at the Olympia this year? And also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.